Today we're going to be talking about the film Call Me By Your Name. I had the distinct privilege to attend a screening with Delina Roberts from lesflix.com. Delina is someone who's been working with us here on the radio show for some time now, but I thought it'd be an interesting opportunity for us to go to the movies, Siskel and Ebert style, and then tape our review immediately following the showing. So thank you, Delina, for going to the film with me. And in a moment, I'm going to play a bit of our review, but I just wanted to give the viewers here some initial thoughts after I saw Call Me By Your Name. So, Call Me By Your Name is a 2017 romantic coming-of-age drama film directed by Luca Guadagnino, written by James Ivory, and it's based on the 2007 novel of the same name by Andre Osman. Now, this film has breakout stars Armie Hammer and Timothée Chalamet in the lead characters of Oliver and Elio. Now, just to give you a quick overview on the basic plot structure, Elio, a 17-year-old Jewish-American boy, spends the summer in the Italian countryside with his parents. Each summer, his father, a professor of art, history, and archaeology, invites a graduate student to live with his family for 6 weeks to help with his academic paperwork. This year, which is in 1983, which is evidenced by the music in the film, it is Oliver, a 24-year-old Jewish-American. Elio, an introspective bibliophile and musical prodigy, finds little in common with Oliver, whose carefree and exuberant personality contrasts with his own. Elio also resents having to vacate his own bedroom during the duration of Oliver's stay, although he does get to sleep in the adjacent room. At first, Elio continues to spend much of his time reading books and hanging out with his girlfriend, Marzia, while Oliver is attracted to one of the local girls, much to Elio's chagrin. Now, I've seen a lot of queer film, a lot of LGBTQ love stories, and the characters are almost immediately smitten with each other. There's fireworks, there's things that are happening very quickly. I was really, really surprised by the pacing of Call Me By Your Name. I think I actually checked my watch, and it was like 35, 40 minutes into it when Oliver and Elio, something finally started happening and they started to acknowledge each other and go on these little dates and go swimming. And I was like, wow, it's like a 2-hour film. And so like there's been this long 40-minute build up and these odd exchanges between them, and they both have these girlfriends that they have on the side. But let me tell you, this is a magical film. This is a film that really took me by surprise. The music is beautiful. The direction by Luca Guadagnino is extraordinary, and just the sheer energy and the performance from Timothée Chalamet is breathtaking. So once it hits that 40-minute mark and the love story is in full play, it just takes over like a great, great love story. I mean, this is a film that I can picture not only being nominated for an Oscar, but being one that's really remembered. This is a really special project. So, just kudos all around to all the filmmakers involved in the project. On a lighter note, this is a peach. I don't think any of us anywhere will ever be able to quite look at a peach in the same way after seeing the film. But that being said, we did a wonderful review with myself and Delina Roberts from lesflix.com, so let's check out some of our formal review.
And I are fresh out of the theater, so this is going to be a off-the-cuff review right out of the theater. So I want to start off by saying that I think it's a beautiful film, and there's a lot to talk about. What was your initial gut reaction, Delina?
My initial reaction was everything great that I've heard about it was not overblown. It was a really fabulous movie on so many different levels.
Now, I felt that the scenery and the music were clearly setting story for us very early on. And I'm sure you'll agree with me, I've seen a lot of queer film and a lot of great love stories that almost instantly in the first 15 minutes had characters, glooming over each other. This one, I felt like it took them forever to start together. I was kind of looking at the time. It felt like it was 35, 40 minutes in. I'm like, oh, okay, now something's happening. Did you feel like they took a long time to set the story before this couple started to...
Yeah, well, it was definitely a slow burn. And I think a lot of that was to sort of give you the feeling that the characters were going through of they're trying to feel each other out and, see if the other person feels the way that they do, and neither one of them is completely sure. So it's like the pacing of the movie, I think, reflects that.
Yeah. One of the things that I'm feeling right now, I'm feeling a lot right now, to be honest, but I felt so bad for some of the girls, for some of the female characters that got involved with Elio and Oliver, especially that nice girl that got involved with Elio. But there were some attempts that they both had to have girlfriends in the story. What did you think about that?
Well, I mean, I think it's actually pretty natural, especially at Elio's age, for, people to be exploring their sexuality and, be attracted to a lot of different kinds of people. I didn't get the feeling that it was fake in any way on his part. It was just he was trying to figure everything out.
Did you see he was kind of torn between the two worlds? Mm-hmm. Now, there was a moment where he was dating her where she said she was afraid that she would be hurt by him. Mm-hmm. That was a sensitive moment for me, because I've had some issues with bisexuality, so I understood where they were both feeling at that moment. And I felt when she said that line, I felt that was foreshadowing, like she would be hurt. So that was a tough one for me.
Yeah, you kind of got that sense that, he had, a certain level of feelings for her, but then once he consummated his relationship with Oliver, he realized that was a whole different level of emotion. Yes. So I think it was kind of a realization for him.
One of the things that I found really surprising story-wise, this is taking place basically in their summer home. Elio's parents' summer home in Italy, and Oliver is basically an intern that's come to work with them for the summer. Mm-hmm. So this is all happening on the same roof where the parents are. So I find it very surprising that we go through like almost 2 hours of the film where these two are carrying on this relationship, and it's almost as if the parents didn't know. But then, not to give too much of a spoiler alert, but it near the end is this incredibly powerful conversation between Elio and his father, where the father acknowledges everything. And I actually found that to be one of the most powerful scenes in the movie, was that conversation between Elio and his father. What did you think?
Yeah, absolutely. It was, I was crying. I don't know if you noticed, but
Same.
I found it very touching, and moving, and just the openness of his father's acceptance, which, as a gay person who grew up in the 80s and was myself, not really quite understanding what was happening with me or being able to figure it out, to have, a parent that was so open and accepting, would have been very welcome at that point in time.
Yeah. Now, you've reviewed a lot of films, a lot of LGBTQ films. Do you see this as being one that will stand, one that really holds up in terms of its quality and storytelling? This was very different from a lot of films that I've seen. Did this strike you as being a very definitive and very different, LGBTQ style film?
Yeah, I mean, to me, it doesn't necessarily feel like it's a genre film in terms of LGBTQ. The focus of it wasn't necessarily that he was coming out as a gay kid. It was more just like it was a coming of age love story, and it could have been two girls or two guys, a girl and a guy. It felt very universal. It just happened to be two guys.
Yeah, and it's beautifully directed. I do want to give a lot of credit to the director, and there's some incredible music in there too, and the storytelling. Mm-hmm. I felt that this was a very well done film. I wouldn't be surprised if it didn't get some Oscar nominations at this point.
Yeah, no, I definitely think it's going to get nominated.
But just one thing I do want to say on a personal note, having had many experiences with my own bisexuality and genuinely, going back and forth between men and women, this story just really touched me on that level, because I could feel both these characters. I could feel Elio and Oliver. And this story is really legitimate. It's really plausible. I could really see this happening. Mm-hmm. This is not one of those films that's so far-fetched that you're like, oh, they did that for ratings or something. This was a really, really well-done story.
Yeah, no, it wasn't heavy-handed in any way, and I do think you mentioned the music. The music added a lot, both in terms of making you feel like you were back in the 80s, for those of us who lived through the 80s.
I did.
And, but also to bring up the emotional tenor of what was going on between the two characters. So they did a really good job.
I give it an A. What would you give it? Like 4 stars, 5 stars? Hey, how would you grade it, Delina?
Oh no, I would definitely give it 5 stars. 5 stars. Yeah, I would. It's the kind of movie that I would watch over and over again.
Yeah. And it didn't end. I'm not going to tell the listeners how it ends, but it didn't end the way that I thought that it did, and yet it still broke my heart, but it was still moving and beautiful at the same time. It did get a few tears out of me.
Yeah, Timothée Chalamet did an amazing job. He could sit there without speaking and convey an amazing depth of emotion.
Yeah. I would definitely like to see more of these stars and where they go. Once again, Delina, I want to thank you for coming to the movie with me. This was I had this great idea that we would do kind of like a Siskel and Ebert, like go to the movies and then sit down and do the review. Like so we did it. Thank you for joining me for this.
No, thanks for the invitation. It was fun.
Cheers. And where can the listeners find your work online for Lesflix?
You can go to lesflix.com, and I have movies and reviews and interviews with actors and directors there.
Very good. Thank you very much.